to Market Watch with BlockHead. Today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin on the 29th of the 7th, 21. And we're also going to be taking a look at the community's popular vote, which is Matic today, which is going to be quite easy to talk about. There's tons of news about it, but it's a very interesting point in the market of which way it's going to go. So straight into it with BTC. As we can see, we all are aware that Bitcoin is really struggling with 40k, but let's have a little bit of a deeper look as to what the next steps might be. So we'll go straight in with the indicators first of all. Hide drawings, there we go. So we'll get the indicators up, and all of these indicators are derived from the Alpha Suite, which is available via BlockParty's premium subscription. So go check them out. I'm sure, you know, if you're really nice to us, we'd give you a little trial. But let's have a quick look at what's been going on. Right here at the top gives us an idea of the markets that are coming online. So we've got the European, Hong Kong, to, you know, just give a bit of a broader picture of the Asian market. And then of course, USA, which is attached to the New York timeframe, coming online around about 6-7 a.m. And as we can see, as the US came online, there was a bit of a pump and then followed by a pretty significant dump here. But not very surprising, as we are coming towards the end of this consolidation cycle. We'll have a little look into that further when we look at the drawings, bring them onto the chart. For now though, we are going to analyze what the indicators are telling us. So immediately we are seeing this indicator here, which is basically the weekly pivot. Now the weekly pivots are an interesting indicator of basically how overstretched the price is or can be, and it's pretty reliable most of the time. If the price hasn't passed through or touched the the weekly pivot highs and lows at any point, as we can see right here, then there is a pretty high, like 90% plus frequency of the price coming back down to fill this. And you know, look just how far this has stretched beyond the weekly pivot here. So that's a little bit of a bearish signal in my opinion, but it is only reinforced by a very, you know, the most recent CME gap. So if we just drop that on there, and lo and behold, it almost completely copies the weekly pivot there. Pretty worrying, if I'm saying so myself, if you're a bull in this scenario. And if we flip right over to the daily, it's not printed just yet, but we can see that there's 9 candles here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If this candle finishes bullish today, then that will be printing well, it is actually already printing a TD9 here, and bearish TD9 at that, right on some very key resistance. So again, another very bearish sign there for Bitcoin. And then last but not least, we also see our future pivot right here, which again is the monthly future prediction of the monthly pivot coming up. And again, this is another big sign of what usually gets filled. And this future pivot lands directly on the 200 DEMA, which sits just here. So if I had to hazard a guess, all indicators and technical analysis are pointing towards a bit of a bearish outcome for Bitcoin. Now let's flip that over to the drawings on here, make it a little bit clearer, otherwise everything starts getting a little bit chaotic on the chart. So as you can see, this was the Amazon news that really kind of brought us up to this 40k challenge, and then, you know, the FUD dropped here, which was Amazon confirmed that they weren't accepting BTC anytime this side of 2021, 2022, although didn't take it completely off the table. Had they taken it completely off the table, then we could have seen a little bit more of a bigger drop. But we didn't, so that's great. Anyway, this was the prediction back here on 27th July, which was put out into our premium channel. Had you followed that, then you would have made a pretty tight 7.59% on BTC. But the main thing which we are looking at here is this consolidation period. And as you know, this was drawn on quite some time ago, and we can see that it's following it quite tightly. Literally this hour, we're starting to see a bit of a challenge or a breakdown of this ascending triangle, which, you know, according to the indicators and everything, isn't too surprising. unfortunately, what this does mean, you know, we could see quite a dramatic and explosive move downwards. This, coupled with going into the weekend, which is notoriously low volume, but also increases the volatility within BTC massively, could act as a bit of a catalyst to this. So would $33,855 be off the cards? Not really, now that we're seeing the, you know, this weekly unfilled weekly pivot and unfilled CME gap down there as well. So let's just, you know, if we are looking at a play on BTC, of course, you know, your investments are your responsibility, but I wouldn't be looking to short any time before 39K. You can do a bit of a cowboy trade below 39.5K for a short, almost certainly down to 38,455, with a big stretch target down to, you know, this region of 35K to 34K. However, on the flip side, you know, I'm not completely bearish on Bitcoin. If we do break up of this ascending triangle, I feel it's going to be an extremely explosive move as well. So we're not going to be in a range for much longer, I feel. I do think this is going to go pretty big one way or the other. And I have always seen 41,300 as a pretty key resistance for Bitcoin. 40K is a very natural milestone, but I think 41,300 is the spot where we'll be kind of set up a bit of a bull trap potentially. So a lot of people go in long there, and then that's when a lot of the big sells will come in. So that being said, if we do break above 41,000 and also 42K, which is another pretty solid resistance, unfortunately we are going to be facing a lot of resistances given how much we crashed quite recently. That's just the, you know, the nature of the beast. Once we break above that, then I think, you know, we could see something pretty astronomical, which is around about 47K. Reason being, if we pop these indicators back on and scroll out a little bit, we'll see that we have a pretty big unfilled CME gap back here, which the price just dramatically dropped through. And that there, kind of somewhere in and around that mid region, which is where I see it kind of going, as long with a pretty key resistance just around about there. Oh, we can't see the drawings just yet. Let's pop those on. So there we go. We see a key resistance just there, which is already marked. And yeah, this is why we do the indicators or the drawings, as it gets a little bit chaotic on the screen. But that pretty much concludes BTC analysis. Of course, there's a lot of great news surrounding cryptocurrency and Bitcoin at the moment. A lot of positivity resuming, which is the thing that will counteract a lot of these technical indicators. However, if I had to be honest, you know, I'm looking at a pretty bearish scenario right now with Bitcoin. So just watch your longs right now. Anyway, that concludes Bitcoin for today. Of course, drop your analysis and also your comments down below. Would love to hear what you think. Trying to guess Bitcoin moves, you know, it truly is guessing, to be honest, because it's such a market leader. We can only base it on, you know, tried and tested technical analysis, and of course what's going on in the world at the moment. Awesome. Well, let's have a look at the most voted altcoin for this market watch, which is Matic or Polygon. And we'll get into that right away. Right, let's do this. Let's get into Matic or Polygon, as they rebranded themselves as. Much prefer that name, to be quite honest. We'll start off on the 1 hour chart, and we can clearly see, like most charts, to be quite honest, at the moment, and most, you know, mid-cap coins, we're seeing a consolidation cycle going through at the moment after a pretty big pump, and this is obviously due to Bitcoin. I do expect altcoins to start pumping if Bitcoin can somehow hold its support and somehow pump a little bit. However, of course, if it does crash, then it's going to bring the market down with it. No surprise there. So there'll be a lot of mirroring of what I've said about Bitcoin as, you know, like I said, market leader. This is what's going to happen. But yep, unsurprisingly, we are looking at a consolidation triangle here, a little bit more symmetrical than what Bitcoin was, and we're not testing this upper region. However, Matic or Polygon is one of the few coins that could actually, you go the other way here because of the serious amount of fundamentals and news that's been surrounding it, certainly over the past month. So news-wise, with Polygon, we've got quite a few exciting things coming up. With the OpenOcean expands its platform by incorporating Polygon, network aggregation, and DinoSwap, which is kind of the new yield farming platform on Polygon, very similar to like PancakeSwap. What else we got going on? This is a pretty big one. We covered it in a video recently. Hop Protocol launches a USDC bridge between Ethereum, Polygon, and DAI. That's going to be pretty huge when USDC starts really ramping up in a more kind of mainstream commercial sense. And what else? Coinbase connects wallets to Polygon network for L2 scaling. Just keeps on going. Polygon unveils new blockchain, gaming, and NFT division. Whilst NFTs, they were the hot topic a while ago, they're not as kind of major now. It's very kind of fashionista at the moment within crypto. However, gaming, that is a pretty big deal, and that's not going away. And then finally, one of the more kind of real life happening right now ones is Binance completes Polygon mainnet token wallet integration, supported by Binance, of course. So all these kind of bunches of news are going to help drive the Polygon or Matic price, probably not down, but like I said, we are all at the mercy of BTC. Which brings me to the technical analysis side of things, and we are looking at this consolidation triangle, which I've said multiple times here. But like Bitcoin as well, we are also kind of hugely out of sync with this weekly pivot, which is about 10% down, and to the the best outcome, and 20% down to the lower end of the pivot. So like I said, when we look at the majority of these weekly pivots, they do get filled. For example, back here, we saw that we completely missed this one during the dump. However, only a matter of a couple of weeks later, that was filled back here. So just because it doesn't get done in this cycle or these 7 days, it doesn't mean it's not going to be filled at some point. Unlike BTC though, the future pivot is actually indicating that we are pretty much on track and we're kind of swinging around that. So that's quite nice, and it's actually a little bit bullish, indicating that we are probably going to test the upper side of this symmetrical triangle again. You can actually see the trend lines correcting themselves there as Matic is doing its thing, and I'm assuming that Bitcoin is going to be moving around a little bit. But yeah, just to kind of strengthen the consolidation as well, we can see that the volume volatility indexed right up here has been very, very minor. It's not a lot been going on. So we are expecting a huge move. As we see after most of these long consolidation periods, we see huge moves coming in. Long consolidation, big move, pump there. Consolidation, big pump there. Sounds like someone's having a party outside. And that is, we are happily above our 200 EMA. We're still not broken above the 50 DMA on there, but we are above the 200 and the 20 DMA, which is always good news. Which the 200 was didn't really spend much time below that at all, which is pretty good. So let's have a little look at the oscillators down here. And we can see that we are, in no kind of danger of being overbought, but equally we're not oversold either. And this plays a large part of this long consolidation period right here. On the daily chart for Matic, we can see some pretty interesting, or more, should I say, confirmed signals coming up. Most notably the TD9 on the daily. Now this is historically quite a strong signal, especially on the daily. We don't see it often, but when we do, it usually comes through. And not only that, but we are hitting the 50 DMA resistance line right there, which is going to act as like a resistance. We can see it's happened right here where this big wick came up and it got rejected pretty hard. So that, coupled with potential BTC bearish movement, we could see a bit of a dump. Target wise, like I said, I think it is going to be a little bit bearish, potentially down to bounce off the 200 DMA right here. So it's probably 0.79983 would be a target, taking about 20% short. But equally, if we do break upwards, then you are looking at your kind of $2.43 kind of region, which is about 140% kind of target there. So there are very much kind of two plays to what's going to happen here. If we can get above this kind of key resistance right here, which is 1.13825, then we should pretty much pump and just keep on pumping. But for the short term, I would be a little bit cautious about going long just yet. Maybe start DCAing into a long around about now, set up with about a minus 20% drop. So just to kind of put a bit of a better picture on that, then something like this would have you in a pretty safe space, and get your kind of DCA buys ready on the significant supports, and that's just assumed as a support there. With if it does drop below 0.61651, then you are probably that is a pretty bearish confirmation. And then target wise as well, it can be a little bit conservative here. Target there, and then of course up here as well. And you can throw one in around here for a take profit. But something like that, if I'm being honest with what my Matic setup would look like, I'm not going in just yet. Like I said, I think there is going to be some bearish momentum coming on. Not too heavy, not like market turning, but I do think we will see a bit of a drop. Anyway, that pretty much concludes our little look at Matic today. Keep an eye on it. It's quite an exciting coin and a very exciting project with a lot going on, so we could see some tremendous pumps actually come in out of nowhere here. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and always remember, patience pays. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave any comments down below with any topics you may want us to cover. Of course, please give us a follow on Instagram at BlockParty Trading. Check us out on Twitter at BlockParty Trade. Of course, we invite you to join our free Telegram channel, which features loads of free trades and news updates, and you can find us at BlockParty Trading.